Broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown studios inside Santander Stadium. Welcome to Revs Hot Stove Weekly, your preseason home for York Revolution baseball, and the only place to hear the latest player signings first. Revs Hot Stove Weekly on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. First in York, first in sports. Now, here are the hosts of Revs Hot Stove Weekly, Darryl Henry and Atlantic League Manager of the Year, Mark Mason.
Welcome in, everyone. Welcome to edition number 3 of Revs Hot Stove Weekly. The Revs brand new, at least 2 weeks ago at this time it was brand new. 3-week-old off-season show. Glad you can tune in wherever you may be. Darryl Henry alongside Mark Mason as we continued to preview the leading up to the 2015 season, all of the off-season goings-on involving the Revs, and when we can get to it throughout the course of these weeks, we'll touch on the news in general around the Atlantic League as well. Mace, thanks for coming in. Good to see you again, and I guess we're getting closer. It doesn't feel like it yet, but...
No, the weather doesn't feel like it, but good to see you again. Week number 3. 3's a charm, right?
Yeah.
So we're back for another turn at it.
Magic number is 3. We've got 3 more player signings on tap to unveil today. And Mace, before we get into the specifics of this week's signings, just in general, and again, you know, without unveiling any further names, we do this one by one, obviously, but just your thoughts and how happy you are with the off-season process to this point and the progress that you've made here. Is still relatively early in things.
It is early, but I'm happy with where we are. I think we're a little bit ahead of last year. We have roughly 20 contracts that have been sent out. I believe I have 12 or 13 that are returned as of today. We have a handful of guys that are working out for some major league organizations over the next week or two that could possibly result in a spring training invite, but those type of workouts are, you know, they're kind of hard to get to camp from there, but at least it gives guys on the radar and those teams can follow them when they play here.
All right, well, obviously you're either tuned in on radio to us this week. You can find us there. You can also find us online, WOYK1350.com, the WOYK mobile apps as well. Archives, if you've missed the previous couple of shows, those are on WOYK1350.com, powered by our YouTube channel. And, you know, Mace, we could have kept the magic of radio alive this week, but I do want to let people know this week's show is not live. And the only reason, you know, we could have strung them along and made this our little secret for the week. They would have never known. I love playing games with our listeners. But we always encourage them to write into the show, and for 1 or 2 of these episodes, including this week, we're not live due to our various schedules, so we won't be able to do that this week. But please, throughout the week, send us Facebook messages on the WOYK 1350 Facebook page, or tweet us at WOYK 1350. Ray Jensen is always on those if I'm not, and we'll pepper you with some questions probably in the weeks to come.
That sounds good. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Is that seat hot?
The seat is hot.
Nothing else is around here. It's about 20 today, but I guess it's time to move on. They're probably tired of hearing the prelude stuff and hearing me talk, so let's get right to it. 3 player signings on tap for this week, and this is the purpose of the show, is to unveil those one by one here live on radio if it's your first time listening. So always an exciting time of the year, and you guessed it, we've got breaking news again this week.
Great Odin's Raven! I've just been handed an urgent news story, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Well, where do we begin? This week we start with one of the more unique player-manager relationships that I've ever heard of, Mace. And if we were to throw out a trivia question to our fans of which player has referred to you as Dad over the years, the answer would be our first signing of this week's show. You guys go way back. Travis Garcia returning to the team here in 2015. And Mace, tell us a little bit about, obviously you've known Travis for many, many years, and just how happy you were to bring him on board last year and to have him back again here this season.
Over the years you coach a lot of players and you have special relationships with most of your guys, but Travis and this is an extra special relationship for me. We met in 2005 when I signed him. I was managing the Ohio Valley Redcoat team, which was a travel team in the Frontier League. Travis had just been released by the Mets, and we were doing spring training in Avon, Ohio. And I remember we were using a high school facility, and I remember Travis coming in and fielding these bunts, one-handed, throwing off his back foot, making all the throws. And I actually converted him to a third baseman that year because the shortstop that I had was very good, and I think Travis was a little frustrated initially, and then he went on to be one of the best players in our league for many years to come. And we just took to each other, father-son type stuff, and he was a great leader on a team that had really tough situation, travel, logistics, 100 days on the road, using 3 different cities for quote-unquote home games. And just to have guys like him around to lead the players, because I had a lot of young guys. Obviously, there's not a lot of players that want to sign on to a travel team, especially in the Frontier League. And we did more than hold our own there. And we were a force for a travel team. I think we won 47 or 48 games out of 90 or 96 games. So we were no pushover by far. And just a special relationship. We were together that year in 05. In 06, the team that Ohio Valley team it broke up, and the league had a dispersal draft. And I remember Travis got signed to go to Windy City where he didn't want to go. And he ended up going to Chillicothe in 2006. In 2006, I went back to Washington, PA, and coached there. And then the following year, I went and managed Chillicothe, so I got to be with Travis again. So Travis and I were together in 05, 07, 08. And at the end of the 08 season, Travis was league MVP, I believe, either in 2007 or 8. We retired his number in Chillicothe, and when our season was over, because we get done before the Atlantic League does, I sent Travis to Butch when Butch was in Southern Maryland. And I remember Polo saying, because he was on that team, that Travis's first at bat was in Lancaster, and the first pitch he saw, he hit over the left field wall, which is no cheap home run at all. And a lot of people were like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Wow, okay. And Travis went on to be one of Butch's better players, obviously, in Southern Maryland, and he ended up getting signed out of there, I think, to go with the Mariners. Mm-hmm. And then, obviously, he got released and he got injured. And then the way things worked out, we were able to sign him here last year. So Travis is he's a special guy. He's a terrific ball player, a lot of talent. One of the nicer guys you'll meet, and I just can't say enough about him. It's, we do have some father-son issues once in a while, but for the most part, I'm really happy to have him back. He brings a lot of versatility, and obviously he can help us a lot this year.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty clear that he got better as the season went on, and he trusted that elbow more so. He was coming off an injury that wiped out his entire previous season. So I guess the $1 million question, do you know what you're getting with him returning this year? Is it same thing, or can he continue to even get stronger now that he's a full year under his belt, or is it the great unknown as with any other player?
I think, first of all, there's going to be a comfort level for him coming in knowing that he has a season under his belt. I saw him a couple weeks ago. He's in great shape. And he'll continue to get in better shape as the season, as we get closer to the season. but I expect him to come in more confident. At the beginning of the year, I think he was a little leery about how much to push it, and I was as well. I wanted to give him some time off and just kind of have him ease into it. But this year we'll go full throttle right out of the gate. I think he's healthy enough for that, and with the year under his belt, I expect the Travis of old that I've seen for many years.
Well, he ended up finishing last year 256 hitter, 14 home runs, 61 driven in. That's a pretty solid year coming off that injury. And once we got to the middle of the season, Mace, there was a 36-game stretch from mid-June into late July where he hit 405. He also had a little spurt in there where he had 4 home runs in 6 games. And then late in the year, he had a stretch late in the season, 17 RBIs in 18 games. So there were times last year where we saw that force in the middle of the order. And I think overall a fairly consistent season once he got that first month under his belt. But once he got going, you had to see some signs of the guy that you had known for so many years and be pretty happy with that.
I did see some signs last year. When he gets locked in, it's fun to watch. Even the guys in the dugout would say, "Wow!" They don't want to miss his at bats. When he's locked in, it is a pretty sight for sure. Now, the thing that I would say when he was playing with me in the Frontier League, he had a lot of hits to right center, and I think maybe from having the year and a half off last year, he was turned more to a pull hitter, which I think was just a question of not trusting the elbow or not trusting his timing as at game speed. And he probably has 50 home runs foul in this league last year, where he hit some long foul balls at our ballpark, sometimes 2 and 3 in one at bat, and we saw it on the road as well. So I would say this year, with the season under his belt, you'll see more balls hit to right center. They're going to try to pitch him that way anyway, and when they do make a mistake inside, he'll punish it. He's one of the best mistake hitters that I've seen in this league. If you leave anything off speed up in the zone, he usually demolishes it. So I do believe that Travis will have more confidence, and the results, I think, will be more to his liking this year even than last.
And now last year he started the bulk of the games at third, but also starting a bunch of games at shortstop, 17 or 18, 4 others at first base. Are you looking to move him around at all, or does it depend on how other pieces come together, or do you have him locked in at third base again?
Predominantly third base. Obviously we'll use him as short because he can play short, and that's really his original position. That's how he was drafted, as a shortstop. I'd like to see him play some first base as well, depending on how our roster fills out. When it comes time to give guys nights off and righty-lefty matchups and things like that sometimes gives me an opportunity to put a stronger batting order together if I can move some guys around. So I would say predominantly third base, but also some at short and some at first.
All right, well, there you have it, our first signing of this week. 2 more to go, and actually when we come back from this commercial break, we'll hear from Travis himself. Had a chance to catch up with him over the phone yesterday, and a nice chat with Mr. Garcia, who is heading back to York for his second season coming up in April of 2015. You're listening to Revs Hot Stove Weekly right here on Sports Radio 1350, WOYK1350.com, and the WOYK mobile apps.
Turning a double play takes teamwork, and so does preparing for life's challenges. Murray Securus works with you, hand in hand, providing thoughtful solutions to help you plan for the future. Team up with Murray Securus for safer, more secure risk management, personal insurance, health benefits, wealth management, even cutting-edge human resource solutions for individuals and small to large businesses. Living life in a winning way just takes a little teamwork. Call Murray Securus today at 397-9600 or go to murrayins.com.
The York College Spartans play here. Catch York College basketball all season on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. Your home for York's home teams.
And now a steal at the other end. Wagner picks one away, a foot race, and lays home another one. Dribbles foul line, a jump pass down to Shea, and she has 10.
The spot for the Spartans. Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. First in York, first in sports.
In the midst of the long, harsh Pennsylvania winter, anticipation is building. An undeniable excitement born from the knowledge that each passing day brings us closer to a new beginning. One day closer to making a statement. Closer to writing a new chapter in the York Revolution's history. As we count down to April 24th, we're reminded that each day brings us closer to the start of something special. Sports Radio 1350, WOYK.
The York Catholic Fighting Irish look to take a first step toward an historic 10th straight district title Friday on the high school basketball game of the week presented by Wellspan Sports Medicine. I'm Ron Ruman. Andy Bria and I have the action as the Irish host the Ole Valley Lynx in the district quarterfinals. York Catholic has already won an unprecedented 9 straight District 3 AA gold medals. They know the Lynx would love to dethrone the Queens and need to be ready for Ole Valley's best shot. York Catholic in Ole Valley, Friday at 6:30 on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
Hey, this is Mark Malone from NBC Sports Radio. The Revs play here. Catch York Revolution Baseball on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
Here on Revs Hot Stove Weekly, if you're just joining us, just announced that Travis Garcia will return for the 2015 season. And yesterday, I had a chance to catch up with Travis on the phone. A nice chat with Garcia, who's excited to come back. Well, Travis, thanks very much. Great to have you back for 2015. And first off, how's the off-season going? What have you been up to?
Treated me good. I've actually stayed local. I've been in Lancaster this whole time. Avoiding most of the snow because I heard, or it seems like in New York it's snowing every day right now up at my where my parents are from. So I've been local. It's been pretty cool experiencing this PA lifestyle.
That's almost dirty, Travis, that you're living in Lancaster. Almost.
Yeah, I know. I'm on the other side of the river for now, but everybody knows where my heart is, where I'm dedicated.
That's right. That's all we wanted to hear you say. What do you think of the fact that we're going to be playing those guys 28 times?
I like it because for me it's easy travel. I can stay home and sleep in my own bed. 28. What did we play them last year?
20.
18, 20?
20. Yeah.
20. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that because every time we play there, they always have a good crowd and. You know, they come with their fancy signs they make up. So it should be fun.
So from a player's standpoint, you won't get tired of it?
No, definitely not.
Does it bring out... Do you guys feel the rivalry?
Yeah, I would say for sure. I know you were around that first half when we clinched. Mm-hmm. That was probably the most fun I had on the field with... that play that Valdez made. I remember the 9th inning ground ball that he threw at home, got the runner. That was huge. That was probably the most intense game I think I was a part of, fan-wise, and I felt like I was playing in the major leagues in October. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was. You mentioned the travel being close by. What's the worst travel you've had during your professional career?
There was a couple trips when I was with the Mets that we made in the Appy League, rookie ball. The only reason those were terrible was because the bus we had was awful. We didn't have air conditioning in this bus. Literally, guys were opening the latch on the top of the bus and sitting in their sliders. And I remember Mookie Wilson just throwing tantrums. But for distance-wise, me and Mace probably were on that same bus, and it was from... I believe it was Evansville, Indiana, up to Traverse City, Michigan. It was something like 13, 14-hour bus ride.
Oh, what do you do?
You pull into the hotel. They're serving continental breakfast, and you're ready for bed.
What do you do? I mean, do you stop a couple times? Do you guys just sleep?
you try to sleep. I'm not good at sleeping on a bus. I get no rest whatsoever. Whether you have the whole seat to yourself or not, it's always uncomfortable. But you watch a lot of movies. Some guys are in the back playing cards. I would say there's probably 4 or 5 hours where everybody's completely passed out and there's no sound. But for the most part, people are up just trying to keep themselves occupied listening to music.
Talking with Travis Garcia, I know I should know this. Are there any other places that you're aware of in pro ball where it's a 30-minute commute between two teams?
Well, I remember playing for the Brooklyn Cyclones whenever we played the Staten Island Yankees. That was a nice little commute for us.
Yeah,
that's the only other one that I've ever experienced.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about you now, since we've talked all travel the first part of this interview. You're getting some hitting in. I know you were going to do that today. How's that whole thing going with getting ready for the upcoming season?
Good. I've actually got in touch with probably, I believe it's the largest sports complex in North America, which is pretty incredible, thinking that we're here in Lancaster, the Spooky Nook Sporting Facility. So I got in touch with some of the guys there, and there's some pro guys that actually go there to hit. A couple guys that are still unaffiliated, and actually I ran into 3 guys that played in our league. Austin Gallagher, who was with Bridgeport, he's a local guy. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple guys that all hit together, and it's cool. It's a good experience because the place is massive. You get ground balls, and in weather like this, Northeast ball players, you know, I'm born and raised, that's the worst thing, is trying to find somewhere you can actually get some ground balls and throw long distance without, you know, trekking through snow at this time of the year. But so the off season is definitely better than last year, and you know, just hacking away, just taking it day by day.
And how did, I mean, being a full year removed from the whole elbow issue, are you completely past it now? Does it feel like it did before?
There was times during the season last year felt, I would say, close to what it was before the injury. I think it progressively got better as the year went on physically. It feels good now. I mean, I don't think I'll ever be 100% again. And I've talked to some guys who have had it, position players who have had it, and they say, you know, you're never really ever going to be 100% again. But, you know, there's ways that, you know, there's just some things you can't do anymore, you know, physical-wise. You're throwing a ball certain angles that, you know, you could do it, but you're going to feel it now. You know, if I'm throwing balls sidearm, one arm across the infield, I'll feel it afterwards, whereas before I wouldn't bat an eye. But I would say it's definitely it's feeling a lot better than it was before I had the surgery, for sure.
And what was it that caused it initially? Was it just wear and tear over the years?
There was actually one play, I can date it back, and I'll never forget it. It was we were playing Camden. This is when I was with Southern Maryland, and I've been in this league so long, Daryl, that John Halama was on the mound. And it was 2010, and it was early. It was May something. It was early in the season. Playing Camden, and it was a comeback at Halama. And at the time, I was playing short, so we were about to turn 2. And he kind of threw it a little bit to my right, where I picked it and threw all on the first base. And I'll never forget, when I threw it, I felt a pop, but it was like any other pop I've ever had before, you know, where, you know, you crack a knuckle or something. This one, it just felt different.
Yeah.
And I kind of freaked out a little bit. I stood out there, and I'm looking down at it the whole time I'm holding it. Nobody knew, but I'm like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, because I was expecting it to blow up, swell, or, you know, I don't know what. Mm-hmm. But it never did. So I do remember that night going to bed, and we were actually going to Somerset the next day, and rolling over in the middle of the night, and I felt like somebody stabbed me with a knife in my elbow.
Oh.
So I knew I did some structural damage, but it wasn't enough coming to find out after playing with it for 3 years and talking to major doctors who have dealt with this before. The initial injury wasn't enough to show up on MRI because the tear wasn't a complete tear, it was just a partial.
Okay.
So that's why it never showed up for the most part. In MRIs, it would just look like the wear and tear of a normal ball player who's been playing for X amount of years. So I played through it, rehabbed it for 2 weeks, and it was never really the same. I always dealt with just a nagging injury, a nagging pain, even when swinging. It wasn't up until, I would say, my last season before I had the surgery that I started to notice I wasn't really using my top hand when I was swinging anymore. It became so painful that it would hinder me from finishing my swing. So that's a story in a nutshell of what happened, and then I ended up having the surgery. But that's the initial injury I had. It was turning a double play. I'll never forget it, that day and that night.
Oof. Well, thanks for sharing, and that is a rough one. As you talk with Mace heading into this coming year, having played a full season last year, do you have a feel for, do you expect your role to be similar again this season, corner infield? Is that kind of what you're looking at?
I'm not sure. I haven't discussed it with Mace yet, but my age, I'm 30, so I'll be 33. I don't really have much say on, when you got 20-something-year-olds out there. But whatever helps the team. Last year was my first time playing first. I expressed it to him and to Jack Tracy at the time. I said, this is like vacation playing first base. You barely get to touch the ball. Nobody really hits it to you. So it's like having an off day. But yeah, I'm willing to. If I can play some short, I'm not sure if Valdez will be back or not. But at least I did it a little bit last year where I know those positions, short and first, I can do them if we need them.
What was it like playing for Mace again?
Cool, man. Cool. I mean, it's like a family atmosphere at Polo and Mace. I've known them for so long, and there's so much comfortability that you have when you know people and you know your manager, what to expect, and you're really close with. Like me and Polo have stayed in contact every off season for the past 8 years. So to play for him again is really cool too. So there's a lot that comes with that, I mean, I played for some really good managers before, but you never really expect or know what they're thinking. But Mace has an open door policy. If you ever have any issues, you go up to him, you talk to him, they'll explain what's going on, and it means a lot to ball players for sure.
When you were in Southern Maryland, Polo was your double play partner. How was he as a double play guy, double play partner?
You're showing my age again, Darryl. Yeah, Polo was my first my first middle infield partner when I got to this league in 2008 back in Maryland. He was actually good. He could pick it. Polo had really good hands. I think he was a little bitter because he was playing some short before I got there, and he really liked short, so I had to put a second. But he actually was awesome. Polo, all jokes aside, he took me under his wing, and from a young kid, I forget how old I was. You could do the math, but coming into this league, I was a baby at the time with the ages that were on the roster, and Polo really did a good job of helping me to feel comfortable and just teaching me, how to go about your business as a real professional. Because I think in those other leagues, you're more around college kids and guys who didn't get a chance in rookie ball, so the atmosphere is different. In the Atlantic League, you're dealing with men who know what it takes to get to the next level and who have routines, and Polo helped me out a lot with that.
Could you tell that he was going to be a coach one day?
Oh, for sure. For sure. The good quality Polo has is that he being a Latin American, he's very friendly, he's very open, and he gets along with everyone, and that's very important when you're a coach. So, Polo has that good quality of, relating to the Latin players, because there's a majority of them on the field, especially in York, to relate with them and help them out. And, he's just always bubbly and happy to be there, so he's perfect.
Well, lastly, Travis, very important question to end with. What do you think of your New York Rangers' chances this season?
Oh, man. Let me tell you something. When we were 14, when we went 14 out of 15 games, I was ecstatic. I was gun-ho. I was posting stuff on Facebook. Here we go. Take notice, baby, the Rangers. And then we lost to the Islanders, which is like losing every game for the rest of the season. And I heard it. I heard it from a lot of my fellow New Yorkers who are Islander fans, especially number one, Emil, who's the clubhouse manager in Long Island. I'm not sure if you know him.
Yeah,
he wears me out all the time. So we lost to the Islanders, and that gave me a bitter taste. And then from there, we started playing the same inconsistent hockey that the Rangers have been playing. That got kind of I was kind of bitter about that. And then we played the Islanders again, and we lost again. But last night, 2 nights ago, we beat them in a shootout 6-5. So there's some hope. We might turn it back on again.
Well, if you guys get to the Cup final again this year, I'm sure you can count on Stephen Penny and me suggesting before overtime that we walk back and missing the game-winning goal, which unfortunately for you was against the Rangers. But have you forgiven either of us for that yet?
No, I won't comment on that because we're on the radio. I was going to slip a word out that you might have to edit out. But no, I look forward to that, and hopefully they do get that far because that was fun.
Yeah, you and Cody were the big Rangers fans, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, Travis, thank you very much. Enjoy Lancaster, since that's where you're choosing to spend your winter. But it's nice to know that you're nearby and you'll be here with us soon in York. So thank you very much for the time. Congratulations on signing, and we can't wait to see you here in April.
No problem, but I appreciate your time.
All right, Travis Garcia joining us. He is the first signing announced this week. We have 2 more to go on this week's show. Mason and I will continue with that when we return. You're listening to Revs Hot Stove Weekly here on Sports Radio 1350, WOYK1350.com, and the WOYK mobile apps.
Security in life isn't something you just wish for. You build it with a strong financial plan. Start with Northwestern Mutual. Together, we'll design a disciplined and balanced approach to financial security, because reaching your goals is something we both want to work toward. To learn more, contact me, Dan McGarry, at my office on the Square in York. Look for the blue awnings. Who's helping you build your financial future? The Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Waking up with the Zabe. The Steve Zabin Show.
I know that replay in baseball did not win the weekend. Several more incidents that have people completely up in arms about how replay is being used in baseball. The good thing is, I don't really care because it's baseball.
The Steve Zabin Show on Yahoo Sports Radio.
I can just sit back and laugh and say, good luck with that, reviewing all kinds of close plays all over the field, all over the base paths. Good luck reviewing all those things starting in April and going all summer long with a convoluted replay system and a bag of headphones that is brought out so the umpires can stand around and wait to see what New York says about a play. He lifted his foot off the bag for a second. Oh, we didn't have that replay. Even though local TV had the replay and the stadium had the replay, New York did not. Join me, Steve Zabin, mornings at 6 on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
January and February are Caribbean months at Fender's Grill and Pub, located at the Wyndham Garden, York, formerly the Holiday Inn by the West Manchester Mall. Featuring chef's Caribbean specialties and Caribbean drinks, plus Fender's regular menu. Visit Fender's to beat the winter blues and sign up for a chance to win a beach vacation. Register during January and February. The winner will be drawn on March 1st. Fender's is open daily for breakfast and dinner, for private parties, and we have live entertainment Friday nights. Fender's Grill and Pub, 2000 Louts Road in York. Come visit us today.
The puck drops here.
Wellman, the shot, score!
Sports Radio 1350, your home for Hershey Bears hockey.
Casey Wellman has won it in overtime for Hershey.
And the Washington Capitals.
Hearing a shot, they score!
Defending the Den and rocking the red all season. Catch the Bears and the Caps on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. First in York, first in sports. The York College Spartans play here. Catch York College basketball all season on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. Your home for York's home teams.
And that's going to do it. The York College Spartans are 2014 CAC champions.
The spot for the Spartans. Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. First in York, first in sports.
This is Bo Vaughn of the York Revolution. Catch the Revs all season right here on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
And he was one of the normal guys in that bullpen last year. Bo Vaughn bringing us back from our commercial break. Mace, we move on to our next signing, and speaking of elbow stories turn good, hopefully, like with Travis Garcia, that's where we are with this guy. And last season, we definitely saw what he can do. Unfortunately, a short-lived stint in York, but due to make a return this spring. And time to make an addition to the starting rotation. The next signing for the Revs, announced live right here, would be right-hander Matt Neal. Mace, when you had a chance to bring Neal back, and Revs fans, I think, saw 2 of his starts at home. The best one was on the road before the injury. The one at Somerset was just maybe the start of the year. 94-pitch complete game. All but 20 of them were strikes, and just an absolute gem of a performance. And unfortunately, right after that is when things started to bark for him. But we saw what he can do. And what are the reports that you're hearing with Neal and his progress and what he might be able to bring to you here this season?
Well, I talked to Matt last week, and he's been throwing bullpens for a while. Actually, he told me he hit 94 on the radar gun last week, so that's good news when you're in the middle of February. But he says he's good to go, and he's looking forward to coming back. And he can be really good, as we saw in Somerset. And what I like about him, he keeps the ball down. He throws a lot of strikes, and he's not afraid to go after the hitter. And he's not out there, nitpicking the strike zone. He goes right after him. He believes in his stuff, and he can be a big asset for us.
And I know we're talking one game from 140 from last year, so the frame of reference might be a little strange. But that game that we're talking about, June 3rd, I think the last 16 hitters that he faced, he threw first pitch strikes to, and he had a ton of first pitch outs. And for more of a broad image of what he's done over the course of his career, 1.8 walks per 9 innings. That's an outstandingly low number.
That's terrific. If you could get everybody to do that, you'd be in great shape. No, he does. He goes after the hitter. He keeps the ball down, and he attacks. He wants to get in and out of there as fast as he can. He wants them to put it in play, and let the defense work for him. So I know he's excited about coming back, like I said, and he's hoping he can get another shot with an affiliate. I believe if he throws the ball the way he's capable and his age, I think he would have a chance to get a shot getting signed from here.
Yeah, we had a chance to catch up with him earlier this week as well, and he does have a couple sessions scheduled with major league organizations the next couple of weeks. So I know last year before he got to spring training here, he signed with Tampa Bay. I guess the chances, since he's coming off that issue from last year, I guess the chances are probably decent that we will see him here, but maybe Revs fans should enjoy it while he's here, because he seems like he'd be a candidate to get picked up if it's going well for him.
I agree with you. When talking to Matt, we were talking about going with an affiliate major league organization, interest, and those kind of things. And basically, I believe coming off of a surgery, he's going to have to prove that he's healthy. And that probably means at least half a season in York, and then depending on the results, and if he has to miss any starts because of setbacks or whatever it might be, which I'm not anticipating, but you never know. Once you start logging some innings, it's the same with anybody, even 100% healthy guys coming in. When you start logging innings, sometimes you do bark a little bit. So I just, I think it's good for him to go throw. I think it's helped him accelerate his progress as far as he's going to work out for some teams. But I do think he's going to have to show up here and prove that he's 100% healthy and remove all doubt for the major league organizations that will have an interest. And there will be some, I definitely think. Last year it was funny. He was coming up here for spring training. He was on the ride up, and I got a phone call that he was going to sign. Tampa wanted to sign him, so he was about to Virginia, and he had to turn the car around and head back to Florida. So yeah, it's just kind of one of the small storylines that happen in minor league baseball. But we're anticipating. He's excited about coming back, and I'm excited to have him. He's a good guy. He'll go about his business, and he'll be a real force for us if he's healthy.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting story, too. Brigham Young University product who really had to develop while he was there. Typical with the BYU program. He did his missions trip and went through that whole process and then returned. And that's why only a fourth-year pro, he's at 28 years old, but maybe also doesn't have the wear and tear that some others his age have already amassed. I guess you can look at it that way.
Definitely, you can look at it that way. He's a young 28 when it comes to playing ball. The one thing I like about him is mechanics. He's pretty effortless. It's really not. He's not a max effort type of guy. He's not falling all over himself out there. He's under control. The way he throws the ball, sometimes you think that's 65, 70 miles an hour, and you look at the gun and it's 93, 94. So that's deceiving for the hitter too. Somebody that's nice and easy, and the ball jumps on you at the end. So he's he's healthy. I think he'll have a good chance, and in the meantime, he'll be a good find for us.
Yeah, he's definitely a lot of fun to watch, and like we said, had a chance to catch up with Matt Neal yesterday here for our show today. All right, Matt, well, thank you very much for joining us. And first of all, how's the off-season going? What are you up to these days?
I'm living in Jupiter, Florida. It's been pretty sunny down here. And just working down here and, just passing time, rehabbing, getting ready for the next season.
What's the intensity and the day-to-day grind like as far as rehab? I mean, how much of your day has to be spent on that?
Right now I see a physical therapist twice a week, and he's just kind of finishing the final touches of working on getting extension, and as I'm throwing, working out some of the kinks as the surgery gave me a little more elbow extension than I had for the last few years. And so I'm running into some soft tissue stuff that's kind of new, and he's been able to help me get through that and make sure everything's healthy and strong. And then I work out on my own as far as just general fitness, 6 days a week, doing variations. Some days it's lower body emphasis, some days it's upper body emphasis. So pretty much about 6 days a week I spend anywhere from an hour and a half to 2.5 hours in the gym. And then I usually spend a few days a week out on the field throwing and pitching, and so that's kind of how it daily goes.
Well, and you told me that it's actually a little rainy this morning, so if not for that, would this have been a time that you would have been out on the field?
Yeah, usually every morning about 10, there's a bunch of guys. I work at a facility, it's called Cressy Sports Performance. Eric Cressy had a place up in Boston, but he just opened a place here in Jupiter. And he pulls about 10 to 15% of all professional baseball players are his clients. They come and either train in Boston or train here, or some of them train, via long distance. But there's a pretty good core of maybe 40 guys that are down here, and so we go to the field every morning and either throw and hit and do a running there, and then go to the gym in the afternoon or evening. But today it was kind of rained out, so Dale went to the gym a little early this morning, and I'll be heading in a little bit later. So, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Talking with Matt Neal, who's headed back to the Revs rotation this spring. And, Matt, rather than me trying to describe what happened last year and risking botching up the description of the injury, give the listeners a little refresher, a little reminder on what went wrong and what you had cleaned up.
So the diagnosis is extension overload syndrome kind of thing. It's basically as you throw the ball and your elbow straightens out with all the force every time we throw a pitch, the two bones kind of bang into each other. And over time, just like you get calluses on your hand from working, you get basically a bone callus on those bones back there, and over time it starts to restrict how much you can straighten your elbow. And so Dr. Deitch, with some assistance, I don't remember actually who actually helped him. I think it was Dr. Reuter. went in there and just kind of scraped that bone callus off, just with some scope, so it was minimal incisions, and just scraped that bone down, and then closed me back up, and everything's pretty healing just fine. It's a pretty minimal surgery, not compared to Tommy John, where Tommy John can take up to a year, year and a half before people return. This surgery, some people can return to pitching, in less than 2 months. So mine, it just happened to work out where there was only about 2 months left in the season, and so rather than trying to rush it back, we decided that it would be best just to be conservative with the treatment and make sure I'm 100% for the next season, and that's where we're at now.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was my next question. I mean, do you feel now as good as you would at this point in any normal off season?
Yeah, I feel, actually, my arm feels better than it usually does in the normal off season, at least the last few, so it's been feeling good, and I've been throwing some bullpens, and we brought out the radar gun just for fun, and I'm back where I need to be, and maybe a little bit better, actually, so I won't say what it is because I don't want to show up and then not throw that hard, but pretty optimistic that we'll have some good life on that ball.
Yeah, no, it's excellent news. We're definitely looking forward to seeing you back here. And when you were out there last year, you struck us as a guy that's got kind of really fluid mechanics. The ball jumps. Is there anything that comes from? Is it just working over the years on ironing things out and staying smooth, or is there anything that you can pinpoint as to how you've developed such sound mechanics over time?
There's not a whole lot, like one particular. The most I would say, though, is just who taught me how to throw. I mean, my dad taught me how to play catch, and then I had a Little League coach when I was 9 and 10 years old who was, hounded us about making sure we had, a four-seam grip, and we threw it with backspin and, got to the proper arm angle and L and all this stuff, and we were hounded on mechanics back then, and just from then on, I just kind of had a natural, that's how I thought I threw, and so it just kind of developed into that, and knowing, a little bit about the body and how it works, the background, as I got into more collegiate and professional levels, it just kind of progressed into, refining, making sure I was being 100% efficient, and that's why it looks like it's nice and easy. It's just because I'm being as efficient as possible, and it makes it so I can, go deep into games if need be, or, throw it where I want it without a lot of distractions in my mechanics.
Well, and last year, before you got here originally, obviously you were signed by Tampa Bay. What's the mindset for you heading into this year? I would assume it's a situation this season where you probably have to come here and show that you're healthy, but since you're feeling good, what's the mindset like, and how excited are you to get up here?
I'm pretty excited. I'm still holding out a little bit of hope that an affiliated team might sign me. I've got a tryout on the 28th with Arizona Diamondbacks, going out to Arizona for, and then on March 3rd, if that doesn't work out, I'll be coming back to throw for the New York Mets. And so there's always that possibility of being able to go there, but as expected, a lot of teams are going to be curious how I've recovered from the surgery, and so they're probably going to expect me to go up to York and perform there. And so that's kind of my mindset. It'd be great if a team took a chance on me, but if not, I'm excited to come to York and pitch well, and hopefully have an opportunity to keep pursuing my dream of getting to the big leagues.
Absolutely. And when you were here last year, Matt, how much did you enjoy the York experience and the atmosphere here and all of that?
I enjoyed it a lot. When I signed with Tampa, it was a good refresher. I wanted to, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence kind of thing. That was my thought. But it kind of was a sore spot as far as just everything that went on with that team. And I was glad to come to York. It was just kind of refreshing to get back to the basics of just playing baseball and got nothing to do with the game. The stuff off the field and the coaches and the training staff and everybody trying to tell you how to live your life. So it was nice to be in York and just have Mace and Fletcher just say, let's play ball and take care of what you need to. And so that was a lot of fun, just being able to be me and play ball and enjoy it. And I think that's why I had some good success in those few games I was able to play there, just because I was relaxed and able to be myself.
Well, Matt, we appreciate you taking the time today, and best of luck with the tryouts coming up. And if we do see you here in York this season, I know people will be happy to see you out there on the mound again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, that is Matt Neal. I believe that was his young daughter in the background there during some of the portions of that interview. But that's potentially an impact signing for you there, Mace. That's a good one.
Yeah, very happy about that. And like I said, hopefully Matt can come up here and do what he needs to do and get another opportunity with an organization.
Well, we've got one more signing to go here on this week's edition, so stay tuned. We'll unveil who that might be when we come back here on Revs Hot Stove Weekly, here on Sports Radio 1350, WOYK1350.com, and the WOYK mobile apps.
In the midst of the long, harsh Pennsylvania winter, anticipation is building. An undeniable excitement born from the knowledge that each passing day brings us closer to a new beginning. One day closer to making a statement. Closer to writing a new chapter in the York Revolution's history. As we count down to April 24th, we're reminded that each day brings us closer to the start of something special. Sports Radio 1350, WOYK.
The York College Spartans play here. Catch York College basketball all season on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. Your home for York's home teams.
Here's Wessner again. Behind a screen, he hits another three. Ahead to Myers, wide open for the dunk. He jams another one, his second tonight.
The spot for the Spartans. Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. First in York, first in sports.
The York Catholic Fighting Irish look to take a first step toward an historic 10th straight district title Friday on the high school basketball game of the week presented by WellSpan Sports Medicine. I'm Ron Ruman. Andy Bria and I have the action as the Irish host the Ole Valley Lynx in the district quarterfinals. York Catholic has already won an unprecedented 9 straight District 3 AA gold medals. They know the Lynx would love to dethrone the Queens and need to be ready for Ole Valley's best shot. York Catholic and Ole Valley, Friday at 6:30 on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
Get ready for winter now and save big on your heating oil or propane costs. Call today to schedule your first fill, and don't forget to ask our energy advisors about the right money-saving plan or budget to fit your lifestyle. Lock in your rate and protect your price all winter. Our price-protected customers save an average of $325 per year. Visit ShipleyEnergy.com or call 855-4SHIPLEY to schedule your next heating oil or propane delivery. Shipley Energy, energy for life.
The new Wyndham Garden York, formerly the Holiday Inn by the West Manchester Mall, has been fully renovated and remodeled. With 177 upgraded guest rooms, over 16,000 square feet of meeting space, 2 large ballrooms, indoor and outdoor pools, a much larger fitness center, a new business center, and free Wi-Fi throughout. The new Fender's Grill and Pub features American cuisine in a casual atmosphere using local meats, produce, wine, and craft beers. The new Wyndham Garden, 2000 Louts Road in York. Stop in or call us at 846-9500.
Hi, this is Wayne McCullough. Join me every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. for Central PA Game Day, right here on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. Join us as we celebrate the best of local sports with your teams and your student athletes. Interviews with players and coaches and the high school scoreboard show every Saturday morning. Central PA Game Day, Saturdays at 9 on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. First in York, first in sports.
Hey, this is Donovan McNabb from NBC Sports Radio. The Revs play here. Catch York Revolution Baseball on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
Back here on Revs Hot Stove Weekly, I'm learning things about Mace. I didn't know you were a high school wrestler, which we got into during the break. It's going to be championship time soon, but I did not realize that you did that for a year. What else did you do other than baseball?
Basketball.
Yeah.
Football. Wrestling was probably the shortest lived and the least amount of fun that I had. I had to suck up a lot of weight to wrestle, and in Cannon McMillan, you wrestle from when you're 3 years old, so getting started at 14 is a little rough, but no, that's a crazy sport.
Yeah. What'd you eat, parsley to drop that much weight?
You know what I ate? I ate tuna fish out of the can. That was like my one meal a day.
You still get that in the clubhouses now, too.
I do, actually, so it's not that far long ago. And then I would go run around the heated swimming pool with trash bags on underneath a bunch of sweat clothes to get to get the weight off. So it was an interesting time. We'll just leave it at that.
Wow. Well, we've got a few minutes left and one more signing to get to here on this week's show, and I really like the balance of this week's signings, Mace. You've got a power bat returning in the middle of the order in Travis, Matt Neal, potentially a top-of-the-rotation type guy here this coming season. And that brings us to the bullpen for our final signing this week. And this guy, steady as always, pretty much his 2 years here. And the second half of last season, I mean, he was almost unhittable. I got to believe one of the nastiest left-handed relievers in the league, stuff-wise, and that would be Edward Paredes, who is coming back here this season. And what a job he did last year, Mace. He finished the year at a 2.70 ERA, but basically for the whole second half, 1 run is basically what he gave up. I mean, he was outstanding.
Eddie was outstanding in the second half, and I give a lot of credit to his work ethic and Fletch, talking with him a lot, and then the Rami. Rami and Paredes were throwing partners, and that was probably one of the craziest things that I've ever seen before batting practice. Watching two guys that can both throw in the mid-90s just wail the ball at each other out there for 8 to 10 minutes every day. And actually, they started off with a weighted ball. So it would be a weighted ball that would then go to the baseball. And, I mean, Eddie, when he's on the mound, it's a little scary for the left-handed hitter especially. I know every time when Julio Ruiz would be coming up to bat, if we were at that part of the game, I would bring Eddie in, and I was walking to the mound, Julio would just look and be like, why? Why are you doing that? But, Eddie is a left-hander that throws extremely hard. He is not afraid to pitch inside, and he has a good breaking ball away from a left-handed hitter. So he can be really devastating, and he can let it go. And, he pitches out there. He's not really afraid of if he hits anybody. So, we'll just kind of leave it at that. He goes after him. He's aggressive, a little bit intimidating. And I think those are all great qualities to have when you're a reliever.
At one point last year, retired 23 in a row from July 29th to August 11th. So, that might have been 6 appearances combined, but that's almost a perfect game during that stretch. Almost. I mean, that's how good he was. Are you looking at him late innings again if he comes in looking like he did last year?
Absolutely. He's a guy we'll look at for obviously left-handed matchups. I like him there. And he gave us multiple innings a couple times last year, too, which was something that, that he hadn't done a lot of in the past. As he was, getting more experience in this league, I think the tendency was we used him a little bit more earlier in the game, more of that 5th inning to bridge the gap to the 6th inning and things like that. But he has proven that he can be, a Bo Vaughn type guy or a Hendrickson type guy, Rami Lewis, where you're not afraid to run him out there in the 7th inning and beyond.
All right. Well, Edward Paredes returning next year as well, heading into his 3rd year with York. And during the course of his first 2 years with the Revs, a combined 2.79 ERA. Pretty good stuff. Mace, I think this was an excellent week with these 3, Travis Garcia, Matt Neal, Edward Paredes, and looking forward to what next week might bring. It's starting to come together. You've got 10 officially announced now, and not even halfway to filling out the spring roster. Really not even close to that, I guess. So a lot of exciting stuff to come still.
There's some good signings yet to be announced. I think the fans will be very happy about the players that we're going to announce here in the upcoming weeks. I'm still work in progress with the roster. I think that's something that you're always doing. There were some talented guys that were available this offseason that were not going to spring training with teams, which was surprising for me. So we were able to talk to some guys that we normally wouldn't get a chance to unless they might have gotten released sometime in March. So, for whatever reason, there's some quality players available, and I'm doing the best I can to get a hold of those guys and see if we can get them here.
And almost out of time here, but is with so many returning guys signed so far, is that a natural part of it for you to lock up guys that had been here before, identify guys that you want to bring back, start with them, and do you anticipate some more of that, but also some new names in the weeks to come?
Definitely. You're going to see some new names, and there'll be some familiar names too. But the one thing about it with guys, if you sign contracts now with us and you still get a chance to go to spring training with somebody, you can go. It's not an issue of buying it out, or, the guys they're basically protecting themselves is what they're doing. There's an opportunity to have a place to play in April, and I still have an opportunity to go work out with a major league organization or go to spring training with a major league organization. As we've talked about here the past couple weeks, we have guys that are going to work out for major league teams that we actually have under contract right now. So that's not a conflict. It's what our league is about. Give these guys an opportunity to showcase what they can do, and hopefully for them they'll land a job with an affiliate.
All right. Well, looking forward to seeing what's next. Mace, thank you very much, and we'll check in with you next week.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Revs Hot Stove Weekly. For Mark Mason, Daryl Henry saying so long. Catch us next week, every Friday at 4, leading up to the start of Atlantic League spring training, right here on Sports Radio 1350, WOYK1350.com, and the WOYK mobile apps.